The red lights flashed across the bridge of the massive space station called Nexus Prime. Admiral Velther stood tall, his blue skin shining under the bright lights. His forearms moved quickly over the control panels as he read the reports coming in from the outer edge of the galaxy. "This cannot be right," he said, his voice deep and worried. "Run the scans again?" The young officer at the scanner station pressed buttons with shaking hands. "Sir, the readings are the same. There is massive energy coming from the Sol system." Velther's large eyes narrowed. The Sol system was supposed to be dead. It had been empty for 300 years. Everyone knew the story. The humans who lived there had destroyed themselves in a great war. They were gone dead. Nothing was left but cold planets and empty space. "Call the council," Velther ordered. "We need to meet now." Within 1 hour, the great hall of Nexus Prime filled with beings from across the galaxy. Tall bird-like creatures sat next to small furry aliens. Some had scales, others had smooth skin. All of them looked worried as they stared at the big screen showing the energy readings. "Fellow council members," Velther began, "we have a problem. Our long-range scanners have found something impossible. The Sol system is showing signs of life." A loud noise filled the hall as everyone started talking at once. The Sol system was forbidden. No one was allowed to go there. It was marked as a dead zone on every star map. "Impossible," shouted Counselor Zeph, a tall alien with green skin. "The humans killed themselves 3 centuries ago. We all know this story." "The records are clear," said another council member. "They were a violent species. They built weapons that could destroy planets. They used them on themselves. Nothing could have survived." Velther raised one of his 4 hands for silence. "That is what we believed, but look at these readings." The screen changed to show energy patterns. "This is not natural. Someone is building something in that system, something big." The hall became quiet. Everyone stared at the strange patterns on the screen. The energy was massive, bigger than anything they had ever seen. "We need to send a ship," Velther said. "We need to know what is happening out there." "I will go," said a voice from the back of the hall. Everyone turned to look. Commander Harin walked forward. She was younger than most council members, with short black hair and bright eyes. Her uniform was neat and clean. She had never lost a mission. "Harin," Velther said, "this could be dangerous." "We do not know what we are dealing with." "That is exactly why I should go," Harin replied. "My ship is fast and quiet. We can get close without being seen. We can find out what is really happening." The council voted quickly. Harin would take her scout ship, the Silent Wind, to the Sol system. She would take a small team and gather information. They would not make contact with anything they found. They would just watch and report back. 2 days later, Harin stood on the bridge of the Silent Wind. Her ship was small but powerful. It could move through space without making much noise. It had the best scanners in the fleet. "Captain," said her science officer, "we are approaching the edge of the Sol system." Harin nodded. "Take us in slowly. Keep the engines quiet. I want to see what we are dealing with before they see us." The Silent Wind moved carefully through the dark space. The Sol system looked empty at first. The star in the center burned bright and yellow, just like it had 300 years ago. The planets were still there, cold and lifeless, but then the scanners started beeping. "Captain," the science officer said, his voice shaking, "you need to see this." Harin looked at the scanner screen. Her eyes went wide. Around the 4th planet from the star, there were structures, huge structures. They were bigger than entire cities. Some looked like they were still being built. "How is this possible?" she whispered. "There is more," the science officer said. "I am reading ships, lots of ships. They are hiding behind the planet, but our deep scanners can see them." Harin felt her heart beating fast. "What kind of ships?" I do not know. They are not like anything in our databases. The design is completely unknown." Harin stared at the screen. The structures around the planet were massive. They looked like shipyards, places where new ships were built. but they were bigger than any shipyard she had ever seen, much bigger. "Captain," another officer said, "I am getting energy readings from the third planet too, and the second planet. There's activity all over this system." Haren's mind raced. If someone was building ships here, who was it? The humans were supposed to be dead, but what if they were not? What if they had been hiding here for 300 years? "Get me a full scan of everything," she ordered. "I want to know how many ships, how many structures, how many energy sources, everything." The Silent Wind spent the next 6 hours scanning the Sol system. What they found made Haren's blood run cold. There were not just a few ships hiding here. There were thousands, maybe tens of thousands. The entire system was full of activity. The worst part was the energy readings. The power sources these ships were using were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They were incredibly powerful, more powerful than the engines that ran the biggest council ships. "Captain," the science officer said quietly, "if these are human ships, they are not the same humans from our history books. These ships are using technology we have never seen before." Haren nodded slowly. She thought about the old stories. The humans were supposed to be primitive. They were supposed to be violent and simple. But what if the stories were wrong? What if the humans had not destroyed themselves? What if they had been hiding and learning and growing stronger? "Set course for Nexus Prime," she ordered. "Best speed." The council needs to know about this immediately. As the Silent Wind turned away from the Sol system, Haren looked back at the scanner readings one more time. Somewhere in that system, something was waiting. Something that had been hidden for 3 centuries. Something that might change everything. The galaxy was about to learn that some species do not die when you think they do. Sometimes they just disappear and come back stronger, much stronger. The emergency meeting at Nexus Prime was the largest in Council history. Every species in the galaxy had sent their best leaders. The Great Hall was packed with beings from 1,000 different worlds, all staring at the reports Haren had brought. "Back. Impossible," said General Korth, the military leader of the Reptilian Alliance. His scales were bright red with anger. "Humans are dead." "We made sure of that." Admiral Velther stood at the center of the hall, his 4 arms spread wide. "The evidence is clear. Something is building ships in the Sol system. Something with technology we do not understand." "Then we destroy it," Korth said, hitting the table with his clawed hand. "We send our fleet and finish what we started 300 years ago." Haren stepped forward. "General, with respect, I do not think that is wise. The energy readings I saw were beyond anything we have ever encountered. Whatever is out there, it is not the same species we fought before." "Humans are humans," Korth replied. "They are violent and stupid. They nearly destroyed their own planet. How dangerous can they be?" Before anyone could answer, every screen in the hall started flashing. Red warning lights filled the room. The communication officer ran to the main console, his face pale with fear. "Admiral," he said, his voice shaking, "we are getting a transmission. It is coming from the Sol system." "Put it on screen," Velther ordered. The main screen flickered and changed. What appeared made everyone in the hall go silent. A ship was floating in space, but it was not like any ship they had ever seen. It looked like it was made from pieces of different alien ships, all welded together in strange patterns. The hull was dark metal that seemed to absorb light. Strange energy was flowing around it like living lightning. Then a voice spoke. It was calm and clear, speaking in perfect galactic standard language. "This is Captain Jinha of the Human Remnant. Fleet, we have been watching, we have been learning. We have been preparing. The galaxy thought us dead. The galaxy was wrong." A human face appeared on the screen. He looked young, maybe 30 standard years old. His eyes were bright and intelligent. But there was something different about him. Something that made everyone in the hall feel uncomfortable. "My name is Jinha," the human continued. "I command the ship you see before you. We call her the Defiant Resolve. She is our gift to the galaxy, our way of saying hello after 3 centuries of silence." General Korth stood up, his scales turning. Even redder. Human, you dare to speak to the Galactic Council? Your species is forbidden from leaving your system. Jinha smiled. It was not a happy smile. General Korth of the Reptilian Alliance, we remember you. We remember all of you. You tried to destroy us. You thought you succeeded. But humans are hard to kill. Impossible, whispered Counselor Zeph. The records show your species destroyed itself in nuclear war. The records lie, Jinha said simply. You wanted the galaxy to think we were dead. It was easier that way, but we were never dead. We were just sleeping, learning, growing. The screen changed to show the inside of the human ship. Harin gasped. The technology was incredible, walls that seemed to pulse with life. Control. Panels that looked like they were made of living metal. And in the center of it all, a massive sphere that seemed to contain a tiny star. What you see is the heart of our ship, Jinha explained. We call it a controlled singularity. A tiny black hole that we have tamed. It gives us power beyond your imagination. From somewhere off-screen, another voice spoke. Captain, the Korthic patrol fleet is approaching. 6 ships, standard attack formation. Jinha nodded. Thank you, Quan. Let them come. The screen split to show both the human ship and 6 large warships approaching it. The Korthic ships were huge, each one capable of destroying a small moon. They moved in perfect formation, their weapons charging. Human vessel, came a voice from the lead Korthic ship. You are ordered to surrender immediately. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Jinha's smile grew wider. Quan, are you ready? All systems are ready, Captain, came the reply. The ship is eager to show what we have learned. The Korthic ships opened fire. Massive energy beams shot toward the human vessel. Everyone in the council hall expected to see the strange ship destroyed in seconds. Instead, something impossible happened. The human ship absorbed the energy. The strange lightning around its hull grew brighter as the alien weapons hit it. The ship did not just survive the attack, it fed on it. Amazing, Jinha said, his voice full of wonder. 3 centuries ago, that attack would have destroyed us. Now it just makes us stronger, the defiant resolve fired back. But its weapons were like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of energy beams, it shot what looked like twisted space itself. The first Korthak ship was hit and simply folded. It crumpled like paper. Its hull compressed into a ball the size of a car. Gravitational weapons, Jinha explained calmly. We learned to bend space and time to our will. A useful skill when you are fighting for your life. The second Korthic ship tried to run. The human ship fired again, and space itself seemed to grab the fleeing vessel. It was pulled apart, its atoms scattered across the void. In less than 1 minute, all 6 Korthic ships were destroyed. The human vessel floated in space, unchanged and undamaged. Impossible, General Korth whispered. Those were our best ships. Your best ships, Jinha said, are 300 years behind us. While you grew comfortable and soft, we grew desperate and innovative. Desperation, General, is a wonderful teacher. The screen showed the inside of the human ship again. This time, Harin could see other humans working at the strange controls. They moved with perfect coordination, like dancers who had practiced the same routine for years. Captain, one of them said, Chief Engineer Quan wants to speak with the Council. A new face appeared on screen. This human was older, maybe 50 standard years. His eyes were filled with an intelligence that made Harin's skin crawl. Honored Council members, Quan said. I am the Chief Engineer of the Defiant Resolve. I helped design and build this ship. I want you to understand something important. He paused, looking directly at the camera. This ship is not just a machine. It is alive. It thinks. It learns. It adapts. Every time you attack it, it becomes stronger. Every time you try to hurt it, it finds new ways to hurt you back. Quan's smile was even more frightening than Jinha's. We did not just build weapons. Council members. We became one with our weapons. We merged our minds with our machines. We evolved. The transmission ended, leaving the council hall in complete silence. Everyone stared at the blank screen, trying to understand what they had just seen. Finally, Admiral Velther spoke. "What? Have we awakened?" Haran knew the answer, even though she did not want to say it out loud. They had awakened something that should have stayed sleeping. Something that had spent 3 centuries turning pain into power, fear into strength, and death into evolution. They had awakened humanity, and humanity was no longer human. The largest fleet in galactic history gathered at the edge of the Sol system. 10,000 ships from 12 different species floated in perfect formation. Massive battleships the size of small moons. Fast attack cruisers bristling with weapons. Support ships carrying enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. Admiral Haran stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Dominion. The ship was 3 kilometers long and carried weapons that could crack planets. Around her, the best military minds in the galaxy worked at their stations. "Status report," she ordered. "All ships are in position," reported her tactical officer. "We have confirmed 10,000 vessels ready for battle. Every species has sent their most powerful ships." Hera nodded. After seeing what the human ship could do, the Council had decided to send everything they had. No single ship could stand against such overwhelming force. It was impossible. "Sir," said the communications officer, "we are getting a response from the human vessel." On the main screen, the strange ship appeared. The Defiant Resolve looked tiny compared to the massive fleet surrounding it. It floated alone in space, dark and silent. "This is Captain Jinha," came the familiar voice. "I see you have brought friends." Haran stepped forward. "Captain Jinha, you are surrounded by the combined might of the Galactic Council. 10,000 ships? Surrender now, and your people will be treated fairly?" Jinha's laughter filled the bridge. "Admiral Haran, I remember you. You were the one who found us. The one who brought news of our return to the galaxy." He paused. "Tell me, do you really think 10,000 ships will be enough?" "Captain," Haran said, trying to keep her voice steady, "be reasonable. You have 1 ship. We have 10,000. The math is simple." "Mathematics," Jinha replied, "is only useful when both sides follow the same rules. We stopped following your rules 300 years ago." The screen changed to show the inside of the human ship. Haran could see Jinha standing in what looked like the command center, but the walls around him were moving, flowing like liquid. Metal, strange lights pulsed through the floor and ceiling. "Quan," Jinha said to someone off-screen, "how long do you think this will take?" 4 minutes, Captain," came the reply. "Maybe less if they group together like they are now." Haran felt a chill run down her spine. "You cannot be serious. You think you can defeat 10,000 ships in 4 minutes?" "We do not think, Admiral," Jinha said. "We know. Because we have been preparing for this moment for 3 centuries. Every day, every hour, every second of those 300 years has been spent getting ready for this fight." The human captain walked closer to the screen. His eyes were bright, but there was something else in them now. Something that made Haran step back. "Do you know what it feels like to be hunted?" Jinha asked. "To know that every day might be your last? To watch your children grow up in hiding, never knowing if they will live to see tomorrow." His voice grew harder. "You tried to kill us all. You thought you succeeded. But some of us survived, and we remembered. We remembered every ship that fired on our worlds. Every species that voted for our destruction. Every face that smiled when they thought we were gone." The screen split to show both Jinha and the tactical display. The human ship was still alone, surrounded by the massive fleet. "Begin the demonstration," Jinha ordered. The battle began at exactly 14:32 Galactic Standard Time. The first thing that happened was impossible. The human ship simply vanished. 1 second, it was there. The next, it was gone. The fleet's sensors showed nothing. "Where did it go?" Haran shouted. "I don't know," her tactical officer replied. "It just disappeared." Then the ships on the outer edge of the fleet began to die. The first ship to go was a Korthik battleship. It exploded from the inside, its hull cracking like an egg. Then another ship died and another. The human vessel appeared for just a second. fired something and vanished again. It's moving faster than our sensors can track, the tactical officer reported. It's attacking from multiple directions at once. All ships, fire at will, Harin ordered. Saturate the entire area. 10,000 ships opened fire at the same time. Energy beams filled space like a deadly light show. Missiles streaked in every direction. The firepower was incredible, enough to destroy entire fleets, but the human ship was not there to be hit. Instead, it appeared in the middle of the formation, right in the center of the fleet, where no enemy should be able to go. And it did something that made Harin's blood turn to ice. The ship fired a weapon that looked like a ball of twisted space. When it hit the nearest group of ships, they simply crushed. 20 vessels, each one massive and powerful, were compressed into a ball of metal the size of a building. Gravitational weapons, Harin whispered. They're using gravity as a weapon. The human ship fired again. This time, the weapon created a wave that passed through 50 ships. As it touched them, they began to break apart. Not from explosions or energy beams, but from the inside. Their own gravity was turned against them. "Captain," came Quan's voice from the human ship, "the nanites are deployed." Harin watched in horror as tiny clouds began to spread from the human vessel. The clouds looked harmless, like dust in space. But when they touched the alien ships, those ships began to change. The metal of the hulls started to flow like water. Weapons melted and reformed. Entire sections of ships simply disappeared, their atoms taken apart and rebuilt into something else. "What are those things?" Harin asked. "Nanites," Jinha explained calmly. "Tiny machines smaller than atoms. They take your ships apart piece by piece and use the materials to repair our ship. Every attack you make against us just gives us more resources." The battle, if it could be called that, continued for 3 more minutes. The human ship appeared and disappeared like a ghost. Sometimes it was in 10 places at once. Sometimes it seemed to be fighting from inside other ships. The alien weapons could not touch it. Energy beams passed through it like it was not there. Missiles exploded harmlessly against shields that seemed to bend reality itself, but the human weapons found their targets every time. Ships died by the hundreds, then by the thousands. Some were crushed by gravity. Others were torn apart by the nanites. A few simply vanished, as if they had never existed at all. At 1436 Galactic Standard Time, the battle ended. Of the 10,000 ships that had come to destroy humanity, only one remained. The Eternal Dominion floated alone in space, surrounded by debris and the twisted remains of what had been the greatest fleet in galactic history. "Admiral Harin," Jinha's voice came through the speakers, "you are alive because we chose to let you live. Your ship is intact because we want you to carry a message back to the Council." Harin looked around her bridge. Half her crew was unconscious from shock. The other half stared at their screens, unable to believe what they had just seen. "The message is simple," Jinha continued. "We are no longer the humans you remember. We are what humans become when you give them 300 years to prepare for war. We are evolution in action. We are the fire that burns in the hearts of every species that refuses to die." The human ship appeared one last time, floating directly in front of the Eternal Dominion. It was completely undamaged. If anything, it looked stronger than before. "Go home, Admiral," Jinha said. "Tell them what you saw here. Tell them that humanity has returned. And tell them that we are no longer asking for permission to exist." The screen went dark. The human ship vanished, and Harin was left alone with the impossible truth. In 4 minutes, humanity had destroyed the greatest military force the galaxy had ever assembled, and they had done it with a single ship. The Eternal Dominion limped back to Nexus Prime like a wounded animal. Admiral Harin sat in her command chair, staring at the empty space where her fleet used to be. Her hands shook as she wrote her report. How could she explain what had happened? How could she make anyone believe that one ship had destroyed 10,000? The great hall of the council was silent when she finished speaking. Every leader in the galaxy had heard her words, but none of them wanted to believe them. "Impossible," General Korth said, but his voice was quiet now. His red scales had turned pale. One ship cannot defeat 10,000. It breaks all the laws of war. The laws of war, Harin replied, mean nothing to them. They do not fight like us. They do not think like us. They are not like us anymore. Admiral Velther stood at the center of the hall, his forearms hanging at his sides. If what you say is true, then we are all in danger. Every species, every world, every life in the galaxy. What you say is true, came a voice from the speakers. Every head in the hall turned toward the screens. Captain Jinha appeared, but this time he was not alone. Behind him stood dozens of other humans, men and women of all ages. They looked normal, but their eyes held the same strange intelligence that made Harin's skin crawl. How are you here? Velther demanded. This is a secure channel, Jinha smiled. Security is a word that only makes sense when both sides have the same technology. We have been listening to your conversations for 3 centuries. We know every secret, every plan, every fear you have ever shared. He stepped closer to the camera. We know that you called us monsters. We know that you voted to destroy us. We know that you celebrated when you thought we were dead. The screen changed to show the Sol system, but now Harin could see what had been hidden before. The system was full of ships. Thousands of them, maybe hundreds of thousands. Each one was different, unique, impossible. The defiant resolve was. Not our only ship, Jinha said. It was just the one we chose to introduce ourselves with. Our greeting card, you might say. Harin watched in horror as the camera moved through the fleet. Some ships looked like they were made of living metal that breathed and pulsed. Others seemed to be made of pure energy held together by force fields. A few appeared to exist in multiple places at the same time. What are those things? Whispered Counselor Zeph. Evolution, said a new voice. Chief Engineer Quan appeared on screen, his face calm but his eyes burning with intelligence. 300 years ago, we were just humans. We built ships the way you build ships. We fought wars the way you fight wars. We died the way you die. He paused, looking directly at the camera. But you tried to kill us all. You forced us to become something more, or become nothing at all. So we chose to become more. The screen showed the inside of one of the human ships. Harin gasped. The humans inside were not just operating the ship, they were connected to it. Cables ran from their bodies to the walls. Their eyes glowed with the same light as the ship's computers. We merged with our technology, Quan explained. We became one with our ships. We learned to think at the speed of light, to feel the movement of atoms, to bend space and time to our will. You are no longer human, Harin said, her voice barely a whisper. We are more than human, Jinha replied. We are what humans become when they refuse to die, when they refuse to surrender, when they refuse to accept that anything is impossible. The screen changed again. This time it showed human children playing in vast gardens inside the ships. But these children were different too. They moved too fast, thought too quickly, understood things that should take years to learn. Our children are born already connected to the ship mind, Jinha said. They grow up thinking in ways you cannot imagine. They see problems and solve them before you even know the problems exist. What do you want? Velther asked. Why are you showing us this? Because, Jinha said, it is time for the galaxy to change. You have grown comfortable in your power. You have forgotten what it means to grow, to adapt, to evolve. You have become weak. The screen showed star maps of the entire galaxy. Red dots began appearing on world after world. Our ships are already at every major system, Jinha continued. Not to destroy, but to watch, to learn, to decide which species are worth saving and which are not. You cannot conquer the galaxy, General Korth said, but there was no strength in his voice. There are trillions of us, billions of ships, thousands of worlds. We do not need to conquer, Quan said. We need only to exist. Every day we grow stronger. Every hour we learn more. Every minute we become something greater than we were. Before, he gestured to the other humans around him. Look at us, really look. We are not the same species you tried to destroy. We are not even the same species we were yesterday. We evolve in real time. We adapt to every challenge. We overcome every obstacle. The screen showed more impossible ships, vessels that seemed to phase in and out of reality, ships that appeared to be made of solidified time, craft that existed in dimensions the Council could not even name. You see, Jinha said, we learned something important during those 3 centuries of hiding. We learned that the greatest weapon is not technology or numbers or firepower. The greatest weapon is the refusal to accept defeat. He stood straighter, and for a moment Haran could see something of the old humanity in his eyes, but it was mixed with something else now, something that had been forged in the fires of near extinction. We were a young species when you tried to kill us. We were violent and stupid and small, but we were also stubborn. We were also determined. We were also willing to do whatever it took to survive. The screen changed one final time. It showed Earth, the human homeworld, but it was not the dead planet from the history books. It was alive, green and blue and beautiful. Cities of light covered its surface. Ships moved through its atmosphere like birds. Our world lives, Jinha said. Our people live. Our children live. And now we will decide who else gets to live. The transmission cut out, leaving the council hall in complete silence. Everyone stared at the blank screen, trying to process what they had just seen. Finally, Haran spoke. They are not going to destroy us quickly. They are going to study us. Test us, see if we are worthy of existing in their galaxy. Their galaxy? Velthar asked. Yes, Haran said quietly. It is their galaxy now. We just live in it. Outside the Great Hall, across the stations and planets of the Council, people began to realize a terrible truth. The galaxy had a new apex species, and that species remembered every slight, every attack, every attempt to destroy them. Humanity had returned, and they were no longer asking for permission to exist. They were deciding who else deserved to. 6 months after the 4-minute war, the galaxy was a different place. Human ships appeared over every major world, not as conquerors but as watchers. They did not attack. They did not demand surrender. They simply waited and observed. Admiral Haran stood on the bridge of a new ship, not the Eternal Dominion, which had been destroyed in a battle with pirates who thought the galaxy was weak. This was something different, something impossible. The ship was called the Unity, and it was half human, half alien. Haran could feel it thinking around her, the walls pulsing with shared consciousness. When she touched the control panels, the ship responded to her thoughts as much as her hands. How does it feel? Asked Captain Jinha, walking onto the bridge. Haran turned to face him. The human captain looked the same as always, but she could see the change in his eyes. He was connected to something vast, something that spanned star systems. Strange, she admitted. I can feel the ship's thoughts. I can sense its emotions. Is this what it was like for you? At first, Jinha said, but you will adapt. Humans always adapt. And now, so do our allies. The word allies was important. After the demonstration of human power, most species had a choice to make. They could fight and be destroyed, or they could join and be transformed. Haran had been the first to choose joining. Captain, came a voice from the communications. Station. It was one of Haran's old crew members, but he looked different now. His eyes held the same glow as the humans. We are receiving a transmission from the reptilian homeworld. General Korth wants to speak with you. Put him through, Haran sighed. The screen flickered, and General Korth appeared. But he was not the same proud warrior who had demanded humanity's destruction. His scales were dull, his eyes defeated. Admiral Haran, he said, his voice barely a whisper. My people, we are dying. The humans have not attacked us, but our ships no longer work. Our weapons have stopped functioning. Our cities are going dark. Haran nodded. She had seen this before. The humans did not need to attack species that refused to join them. They simply made their old technology obsolete? General, she said, you know what you must do. I cannot, Korth replied. I cannot ask my people to become something else. We are reptilians. We have been the same for 10,000 years. And look where that got you, said a new voice. Chief Engineer Quan appeared on the screen beside. Harin, the human engineer, looked tired, but his eyes burned with purpose. General Korth, Quan said, you are thinking about this wrong. We are not asking you to stop being reptilian. We are asking you to become more than reptilian. What do you mean? Korth asked. Watch, Quan said. The screen changed to show a reptilian city, but this was not like the dying cities Harin had heard about. This city was alive with light and energy. Reptilian children played in parks that floated in the air. Adults worked alongside machines that responded to their thoughts. This is New Scarth, Quan explained. The first reptilian colony to join with us. Look at your people, General. Really look. The reptilians in the city moved with grace and speed that should have been impossible. Their scales shimmered with inner light. When they spoke, their words carried across vast distances without technology. They are still reptilian, Quan said, but they are also more. They can think faster, move quicker, live longer. They have kept everything that made them reptilian, but they have added everything that makes them human. The fire, Harin said quietly. Yes, Jinha said, turning to her. The fire that burns in every human heart. The refusal to accept limits, the drive to become more than what we were. That fire does not belong to humans alone. It belongs to any species brave enough to embrace it. The screen changed again. This time it showed dozens of different worlds. Each one was transformed, but each one was still recognizably itself. Bird-like aliens who could now fly between stars without ships. Aquatic species who had learned to breathe in space. Rock people who could reshape matter with their thoughts. We are not building an empire, Jinha said. We are building evolution. We are showing the galaxy what it means to refuse to stay the same. And those who refuse? Korth asked. Are free to refuse, Quan replied. But they will be left behind. The galaxy is changing, General. You can change with it, or you can watch it leave you behind. The transmission ended, leaving Harin and Jinha alone on the bridge. Through the ship's windows, Harin could see the human fleet spread across the star system. Thousands of impossible ships, each one unique, each one growing and changing every day. How many have joined us? Harin asked. 43 species so far, Jinha replied. More every day. They see what we offer and they cannot resist. And the others will join eventually or fade away. Evolution does not wait for permission. Harin walked to the observation deck and looked out at the stars. In the distance, she could see Earth, the human homeworld. It glowed with a light that had nothing to do with its star. The light came from within, from the fire that burned in every human heart. Jinha, she said, what happens when every species in the galaxy has joined with you? What happens when there are no more challenges to overcome? The human captain smiled. Then we look beyond this galaxy. The universe is vast, Harin, full of challenges we cannot even imagine, full of species we have never met, full of problems we have never solved. He joined her at the window, and for a moment they stood together in silence. You see, Jinha said, that is what makes humans special. We are never satisfied with what we have. We always want more. We always need to grow, to change, to become something greater. And now that fire burns in all of us, Harin said. Yes, every species that joins us carries that fire forward. Every world that accepts our gift spreads that flame across the stars. The ship shuddered slightly as it began to move. They were heading to another system, another species, another chance to spread the fire of human determination. Where are we going? Harin asked. The Andromeda Galaxy, Jinha replied. Our long-range scouts have detected intelligent life there. Billions of species we have never met. Trillions of beings who have never heard of humans. Harin felt a thrill of excitement run through her. The same excitement she had felt when she first discovered the humans in the Sol system. The excitement of the unknown, the impossible, the next challenge to overcome. They will not know what hit them, she said. No, Jinha agreed, but they will learn, they will adapt. They will grow, and if they are worthy, they will join us. He turned away from the window and walked back toward the bridge. After all, the fire that burns in the human heart is not meant to be contained. It is meant to spread. It is meant to light up the darkness between the stars. Harun stayed at the window a moment longer, watching the stars stream past. Somewhere out there, in the vast darkness of space, other species were living their quiet lives. They had no idea that humanity had returned. They had no idea that everything was about to change. But they would learn, they would adapt. They would discover what it meant to refuse to accept limits. They would discover what it meant to be human. And the fire would burn across the stars forever,